Hello, first year confirmation students. You had a couple more questions for December 3rd. Actually, one more question. I take that back. All right, one more question here. That's a little background and then kind of within other questions. So background is I have a friend who used to be Christian, but now she no longer believes in God. She has a lot of other wacky beliefs, but I guess I don't want to list them all. You don't need to, all right? It's not uncommon for people that uh, stop believing in God. They'll start believing in anything, all right? I really want to help her, but I don't know how. I've talked to her about it, but she won't listen. What should I do? Well, kind of a simple way, it's pray for the person, pray for them, pray for your friend, and be a good friend. And two virtues, qualities of God that kind of show up in the scriptures, especially in his relationship to his covenants. Covenantal virtues are steadfast love, also called loving kindness. Sometimes, often is translated actually as mercy, but better is like steadfast love. God continually loves his people. Yeah, he makes, even when they don't love him back. And then God's faithfulness. He's true to his word, his promise. He's dependable. Those two things, steadfast love and faithfulness as a friend, like that goes a long way. Like your friend, that you're imaging something of God and asking the Lord, help me grow in steadfast love toward my friend and faithfulness, dependability, to be there for my friend. All right? And then just looking for those opportunities where, something about the faith can be discussed. And often it's the best is when they start asking questions. Or you ask them simple questions, like, for example, you say Merry Christmas, and you're like, oh, yeah, I don't believe in that stuff. Yeah, it's like, well, what? Well, you can just ask them, like, well, what? Did you at one point? Yeah. Well, not really. Maybe our family did this, and maybe you can learn, like, okay, maybe there's probably something behind there of why uh, they kind of decide, I don't know if I believe this anymore because I just see it as a show. People don't really see it as important. That's often that can be one reason why where people see, well, people say this, but they do the exact opposite. I don't want to be a hypocrite. Now you may say, well, am I a hypocrite? Well, if you're striving for holiness and you're really trying to live it, that's not being a hypocrite. A hypocrite is saying, oh yeah, this is what you're supposed to do, and then not even try. And when people see that, like, they're just turned off. You're just turned off from. So they may have examples in that. Another reason is, maybe there's just being Christian, being Catholic Christian, just following the Lord. It's not easy. I have to give up certain things. And so that can be behind there too. That can be something that holds people back. It's like, well, I don't know if I really want to commit to that because I like this or that more. I want to do what I want to do. All right. Now you don't have to push that out of them, but see, realizing there's a reason why. It's not just they're just mean and there's probably some reason there, but they're never going to be fulfilled until the Lord invite the Lord into their life, and He fills them. I had a engaged couple a couple years ago. The bride had been coming to mass with her family, stopped, wanted to get engaged, and when I first met with the couple, I meet with the bride and groom separately. I asked them some certain questions so they had their freedom to respond without the other person there. And with the bride, I asked, so you stopped coming to mass? What happened? And I mean, I had no clue. I didn't know. So she just said, she was very true. Like, my grandma passed away, and I'm just angry at God. And instead of me saying, well, that's just stupid, I just invited the person. Well, if you I invite you to relate to the Lord. The Lord wants to enter into that and kind of help heal that void of your grandma. And actually, when you go to Mass, that's you're closest to those who have gone before us. So and within a couple of weeks, you're coming to Mass again. And now I don't know, but it's kind of drawing that out and just kind of inviting them, as well as you see Jesus in the Gospels. He asks a lot of questions. When he's asked a question, he goes back with a question. Now that could get really annoying if you do that all the time. But this asking questions, like someone says, well, the Catholic Church is always this, or that's just a stupid belief. You ask them, what do you mean? What do you mean by that? And blah, 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 blah. And you're like, well, I, so getting them to slow down there, actually, it also acts like, I need to look into that. I don't know about that. Like the Crusades are just, it's like, well, maybe I need to look in, that humility of with oneself and getting back to them, but also just asking questions to them, and not kind of, just like, well, how it's help slowing them down, and that can help, for them to, the Lord's grace can come into that then, because when they start realizing, for example, like, the Catholic Church, they attack the Catholic Church, and let's say, or the faith, and you could say, well, the Catholic Church is, how do you explain the Catholic Church? It's been around for 2,000 years. Nations have kind of come into existence, and then in fallen empires have come, built up and fallen. Catholic Church still remains. How do you explain that? How can you explain that without, Now you can't prove, like, but there's these motives of believability, credibility, of like, or miracles, Eucharistic miracles, or how can you explain that when you're not kind of just throwing this out there, but when they say something against the faith or against miracles or something, well, how do you explain those? And that can start them thinking like, what is an explanation? And just not thinking you need to have the right answer. You just gotta help slow them down so God's grace can come in and kind of enter into that. So I think just be a good friend, pray for your friend, and just those opportunities to listen, and then to ask questions, because sometimes people just haven't. They slow down, and kind of when someone starts seeing that there's disharmony in what they believe, with their beliefs, their system, and they're really looking they want to be genuine. And young people, I think more so than later on in life, where they kind of like, well, I'll just kind of go through it. But young people, like, there's a certain authenticity, like, no, I don't want to live with this. I don't want to live with this tension. I want to be authentic. That's wonderful. And so that's what the Lord's going to, the reality is they want to be whole. They don't want to be like, well, I just got to live a double life. I got to, realize there's this here and this doesn't match up with here. And, well, I'll just go have fun. I'll just live my life and have fun. But there's like, no, I want to be integrated. I want to have this harmony, this peace. And so when you just, kind of opportunities come up where they start seeing the, kind of, well, how do you reconcile that with your life? Like the approach, these, how does that fit? How do you explain that? Those are questions where they have to reflect on their own, kind of how that fits, how they deal with that. And you don't have to have an answer. They're rhetorical. They're questions you're asking them that they, you don't need an answer. It's just more like for them to ponder. And if they're looking for the truth, those things are going to start grinding, and they're going to look. All right, and they're going to keep looking. And if they're honest and looking for the truth, they eventually are going to find it in the Catholic Church. Now there could be many other ways. It's not to say, well, if they don't get back, then they just kind of didn't. Well, okay, that's not our job. But to know, you need to help, just lay breadcrumbs down. And often those come in the form of questioning and helping them to think, slow down, as well as just having that humility that you don't need all the answers. And even admit, like, someone says, well, you're a hypocrite because you do this and this. Well, a hypocrite is someone who says something and does the exact opposite. But someone who's striving, wants to live it and is struggling, that's not a hypocrite. That's a saint in the making. So, good questions for your confirmation. Just keep them coming. God bless.